Welcome everyone to BerryFlow Upstream number 36. I put in our little description, if Upstream were a baby, then BerryFlow would be a parent, and that parent had just given birth. This is our ninth month of Upstream. This episode is kind of a milestone for us.
Did you
I know
practice
Alex is.
that analogy before we went
Yeah.
on air? That's bizarre, but okay.
I thought of like what has a 9 month period, and the only thing that came to mind was a pregnancy. So maybe BerryFlow is finally actually alive with us. So how's everyone been doing?
Good, good.
Good.
Not,
I have
not
crappy weather and it's freezing cold out and the streets are all flooded and I'm trapped inside.
Which is a good thing. You don't have an
Yeah.
excuse to leave your house now.
Literally, I am kind of trapped inside, at least in one aspect, because the snow on my patio is so high, I literally can't open the door. It is above the door that I can't open it. It's
Wow.
crazy.
You need to open the door inside and just tunnel through.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm glad I have a front door that I can actually get out, because otherwise I might go a little bit stir crazy in here.
We don't leave our houses too much anyway, so
No.
it's all
True.
good. Let's get started here. We have a couple topics to run through. Not too much really deep and exciting news, but some things worth mentioning and talking about. Earlier last week, we saw the release of some passport and Rio accessories. They started getting announced and emerging online. Saw some mentions. Nothing too specific, basically just like an Excel list with some of the names of the upcoming accessories. All standard stuff. We saw SyncPod, we saw the hard shells, and different cases of that nature. When do you guys think we're going to see this Rio device? Are we going to see it maybe toward Mobile World Congress? Do you think it's actually going to be announced then, or just kind of teased then?
I don't know. It's coming. It's almost coming at the end of February, and I don't think it's a device to actually go ahead and announce at Mobile World Congress. Like it's not really that impressive, at least from my standpoint. I don't see too much to write home about in regards to the actual device. But who knows? I mean, they do have some plans for device announcements, I guess, at Mobile World Congress, so they could slide that one in there.
I just wonder, are they going to follow it Mobile World Congress up with that announcement, or are they just going to kind of slide it in? I believe we got the Classic and Passport news, at least the names and kind of the intentions of the devices back at Mobile World Congress last year. So I just kind of wonder, are they going to continue kind of with that trend with the devices, at least maybe seeding some of the ideas around the devices around that time? It's definitely interesting because, again, we don't know too much about it, yet we do know a lot about it because it's kind of been this rehashed device over and over. So, Ronell, what about you from a sales perspective? Is the Rio something you think you can sell to users, or are people more looking, at least in some of your stores, are they looking more for that, classic QWERTY device?
It's kind of in between, I would think. I mean, nowadays people are either going for something that they know and they're familiar with, or they want something cheap. Like, there's no like in between there, right? So it's hard to say. I don't know if people would grasp and jump for it, but it's always a possibility. I would say some people could probably sell it if it's at a good price point.
There's a lot of pent up demand for a touchscreen device too, so
Hmm.
that might be beneficial to how the device ends up actually selling. But then again, there's that pent up demand is for a high end device, and the Rio isn't necessarily, at least from what we know thus far, isn't a high end device. So it could go both ways. People could buy it just because there's pent up demand for a full touchscreen device, or they could totally ignore it because it's not the touchscreen device that they want, right?
And it's almost the same kind of middle ground that the Z30 fell in. And I really like the Z30. Like
Yeah,
I'll be quite honest. But if it has the classic specifications, I mean, I'd rather just pick up a Z30 in good condition from someone I know rather than buy an all new device. But as you said, Chris, there is a lot of pent up demand for that all touch. And if they can do just a little bit of marketing and just get people to really look at it, I think people would actually buy it. Just to kind of
yeah,
piecemeal themselves over from a Z10, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be one of those devices as well that what's really going to make or break it is going to be the price point.
Yeah.
You know that you hit the right price point, a lot of people pick it up just because it's affordable. But if you just hit outside that mark, I doubt they sell just because of what we just talked about. When you pick up a Z30, you wait for the high-end all-touch maybe this year. Some people wait for months for something they don't know if it's going to arrive if the price point is off. I mean, that's BlackBerry has to get the price of the Rio device even under, like just you know what I mean? Like just make it really, really affordable.
Just build
I
a
think-
free phone. That's the price everyone wants, right?
I think if they go with the same strategy as what they did with the Classic, it would probably be beneficial for them because, I mean, we all look at the Classic and we see the device on sale online on Shop BlackBerry or whatever, and you know it's $349 or whatever the case may be, $399 depending on where you live. But in terms of carrier sales and stuff like that, the Classic is actually free on the majority of carriers. At most, it's like $50 on carriers, right? So if they push the Rio to carriers and they offer it for free, or you know $50, that it started off at $50, that gives them room to drop it down to $0, right? That would be reasonable. I could see people buying it at that point in time. But if they go, you know, if they try and sell that for like $199, it's not going to happen. I don't think. Anyway.
Yeah. And at this point also, BlackBerry is their interest lies in adoption, getting devices and getting BB10 in as many hands as possible. I'm sure this is a Foxconn device, and it'll work out financially, for everyone all around. So just get in people's hands. Don't give them a reason not to buy it.
Right. I was gonna say.
Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, what Blaze was saying, and it's just like that right price point. But I mean, there's a lot of Z10 people. Like I had my friend asking me, "Is the Z10?" He's the owner of the Z10 right now. He said, "Is it a top 2 device right now?" And I said, "I have to say, no, right now, not anymore. I mean, before it was, but I mean, if you could offer him an upgrade for $50 or $0, a lot better battery life and a lot better performance than their Z10. I mean, it could be a great sell. So, I mean, if they can target it properly and price point, yeah, definitely. I think they could sell it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a larger screen. We're looking at better battery. We're looking at that 1031 on there. What else does the real device purportedly has?
That's about it. I mean, specs akin to what we see on the Classic, which
Okay.
I don't know if it's even an upgrade from a Z30, but just
Right.
the new hardware, the better price point. The thing that I think stomped the Z30 out when it initially came out was that, one, it was very limited availability, right? This thing was launched in the middle of the night over in Indonesia. No one knew about it until really the day, until the media really started actually talking about it. And then it had a stout price point. I mean, this thing was built and priced just like the Z10 was when it first came out. So you're talking $600, if not more. So it really wasn't compelling for a lot of people. If they can come in with a mid-range, mid to high-end type device and sell it as such and give it at a good price range, I think they'll do well.
The Z30 came at a really bad time.
It did. It did. That was when all the sales talks were happening and whatnot, and just kind of got swept under the rug, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it really is, unfortunately, because it's a great device, and people still love their Z30 till today. And I mean, there's tons of people out there. Those that have it absolutely love it. Those who don't have it are like, eh.
I'm waiting for the next all touch.
Yeah, that's the thing. It just came at a really bad time, and I think if it would have came at a different time, it probably would have been a better seller for BlackBerry.
That whole alphanumeric ID thing really, I think, threw some people off as well. I mean, you're starting the year with a Z10. This is our high-end all-touch device, and then you're going to lapse it by 3 by the end of the year, and then not have the availability of that device in stores like you had the Z10. It was just kind of a mess. I'm glad we're moving on, maybe to a different nomenclature with the devices like Passport, Classic, an actual naming system for people to relate with. Some of the numbers just kind of got lost. I thought it
Yeah,
was
I
a
mean,
good
numbers and letters don't mean anything these days. You got to have some sort of name to go with it, I think, anyhow. I mean, it was great to start with, but that time has passed. They got to stick with Passport and Classic and whatever. Give the devices actual names.
I find
Yeah,
it
and it definitely helps with marketing too. Like, I mean, think about the Passport. Think about the Z10, the Z5, the Q5, the Q10. You know, people start mixing up the names because they don't, unless you're a true kind of BlackBerry fan, then you kind of know what they are. But it's kind of like, you know, the Passport, they've been able to do this whole thing where comparing it to a Passport and just everything with it. Um, I think they really do need to stick with names moving forward.
Yeah.
So I wonder what you call just an all-touch device. That's not, a Z something or another. Are they going to call it the Rio or something? It's obviously a code name at this point for the device.
Well,
Do you
I
think it's
mean,
going to have some kind of fancy name, or it's going to be something kind of rather bland?
well, I do remember when John Chen mentioned that he wasn't interested in making a generic device because the challenge would be in who do you target to. You make a general device, you're probably gonna, shoot yourself in the foot because you just threw it in the line of a
Everybody
million
else.
other devices that look the same.
Yeah.
So he expressed that he wasn't interested in just making a generic rectangular slab all touch device. It has to have something unique for a particular audience, and I'm sure it's going to come with a tagline, a name as well. He came in and he was like, Passport. This is going to be the classic. So I think we're going to see that sort of trend there, moving away from the numbers. And I did write about the numbers back in Crackberry, how BlackBerry 10 shouldn't have been called BlackBerry 10, another number, or the devices shouldn't have been Z10, Q10. These devices needed names. So it's great to see. It looks like he's going to be moving in a new direction, anticipating these names, hopefully.
And keep
It
in
is
mind,
such a mouthful to say. The BlackBerry Z10 running BlackBerry 10. I mean,
yeah,
go ahead, Alex.
From
and
BlackBerry.
keep in mind as well, like, so we have the Z10, then we have the Z30, and then if this Rio came out as the Z20, then people would be like, well, why the heck would I get a Z20 when the Z30's been out for a year? So
Yeah.
even just putting a name to it is just something that just the mind share will completely be different than if they just named it Z20.
Yeah,
It's,
people
it's,
want to move
it's
forward.
interesting looking at the data too, because normally when we start seeing the leaks come out, like in the case of the accessory leaks, all of the previous accessory leaks have actually called the device generally, in the most part, by the actual product name.
Hmm.
So when we saw the BlackBerry Passport accessories come out, they were listed as BlackBerry Passport accessories. When we saw the classic ones come out, they were listed as BlackBerry Classic accessories. There was a few odds and ends like Q30 and Q20 and stuff like that. However, the majority of them actually stuck with the name. And thus far, it seems like all of the Rio accessories are actually using the Rio name, or they're using Z20. Very few of them are actually using Z20, so it makes me actually wonder, like, are they just going to stick with the Rio name? Because that's what it seems like for now. I hope that they actually don't, but it seems like that at this point, anyways. Because when that first initial round of accessories came out, the next day and the day after that, there was more and more sites that were actually listing them. If you go back and you look at that information now, you'll find new listings. None of them have images, but they're all like distributors and stuff like that that actually have it all listed. And some of them listed as the Z20, and some of them listed as the Rio, with the majority listing it as the Rio.
Maybe it's gonna be good for them to actually go away from the kind of the alphanumeric ID, especially when the Rio looks a lot like the Z3.
Yeah.
As Alex was kind of touching on earlier, it's like, why would I get a Z20 when there's a Z30 and a Z3? So they don't want to peg it as like a Z5 or something like that. But definitely think it's going to be important for them to kind of push forward with the naming scheme. I wouldn't mind Rio. I need some kind of story behind it or something. Like, explain to me why it's the Rio,
Yeah.
as opposed to anything else. Did you go to the Rio Grande and then you you dreamed up the device and built it off of some inspiration there? I mean, there was a lot of design inspiration on the Passport, the classic as well. So I'd like to see some of that design story continue to evolve. It's for them. It'll make it easier for Ronell to sell them in loads and troves.
Exactly.
So on our new devices, a lot of us have loaded up Snap version 3 beta.
Oh snap, yo!
Oh snap!
No.
Yeah,
Chris waited for that for a while.
he's been waiting all cast just for that. But Snap is really an interesting application. It brings us a native Google Play Store. Thanks to Cobalt via the Crackberry forums, we are able to get the Android Google Play Store up and running on BlackBerry 10. Works fairly well. But of course, a lot of us like the native look and feel that comes along with the Cascades applications. So James has kind of built a bridge between the two. So now he's got a native application that brings on the Android UI and styling. I thought it was pretty interesting. You kind of get a blend and medley of not only the Android UI, but BlackBerry 10s. I really love the native performance over the actual Android application. Anyone testing the beta, what are your experiences with it thus far?
I loaded it up, of course. It's great. I mean, if we're downloading the apps and stuff, I mean, obviously where it's, a beta, there are a few things that are out of place and such, but he's been working real hard on it. He pushed out 2 betas so far. Each one got better with each build, so, I mean, obviously, if you're not into beta testing, it's probably not something that you really want to load onto your device. You probably just want to stick with the regular Snap, the one that's up and running and working perfectly fine. But if you like the beta testing and checking out new stuff, then there's pretty much no real reason not to load it up and at least offer some feedback on it, or stuff like that if you come across any bugs or whatever.
Great to mention that the old Snap does work still 100%. Like it still works perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to. You're not required to upgrade to the beta.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I think, even BlackBerry could kind of learn something from this because, if you go to, I'm just saying, if you go to an app, like one of the things that I love that Google does, which this obviously does as well, is you can put a video at the top of it. So they can click it, it'll link out to like YouTube. And there's so many apps that you don't necessarily want to buy until actually see it shown off. And being able to just directly get sent to a video in an app, like I think that helps conversion rates a lot. And as a consumer, I would love to have that as well.
No, I mean Apple added that into iTunes now. So
I just my only observation, and it's a great app, is that the original Snap app kind of mimicked BlackBerry World visually, and now it's mimicking the Google Play Store visually, with like that BlackBerry native ability, gesture touch. So I think it's interesting that he made that move. I know there were some people that wish he stayed with like the BlackBerry World look.
You've heard that too? I got a lot of feedback. They're like, I don't like this. I don't like this.
And then you have now you have like the Google Play. It looks official and it moves very well with BB10. It's not going to stop anyone from actually using it because it's just that good. But it's an interesting decision. Given that not too long ago we did have the Google Play Store files available for download on all of the BB10 devices, and there was a number of people that did that, and we all have like this official Google Play Store icon and everything. Now that we have Snap, it's like we're going to jump on there because it's a lot more intuitive. But just something I wanted to note visually there, the difference, and we've heard both sides. Liking it, not liking it so much.
Snap version 4 is going to look like the App Store, Apple's App Store. As we continue through the redesign process here.
I gotta say, like, if you bring up, like, if I take out my Passport and I, bring up my Snap, application now. Well, when it moves out of beta, all the wrinkles are ironed out. I can show anybody, and it'll move incredibly well because it's optimized, for the BB10 experience. So I can demonstrate. Listen, we have all the Google stuff, available on the BB10 device. the question now is like, is that something that is that a show-off feature?
No.
To show
I
off
did
like
this
Google
yesterday.
stuff on a BlackBerry device?
I'm over at a coffee bar yesterday, and this guy comes up. He's like wheeling his kid around, and he literally like leaves his kid and is like, "Is that the BlackBerry?" And he walks over, like leaves his kid like he leaves his kid like 5 or 7 feet away, just like chilling. The kid's like in the stroller sleeping, and he's just asking me all these questions, right? And I pull up the Google Play Store and I pull up the actual, not Snap. For some reason, I just launched the Google Play Store, and he's like, "Oh, cool! So you can get Google apps." And I'm like, "Well, not really. I mean, yes and no. If you want to, mess around with it a little bit, you can get a lot of stuff working." So, Jubei, to your point, is it a show-off feature? It's like, yes, in terms of capability, but no in terms of usability, because they're going to go into the Google Play Store. They're going to look for the Google apps, and then they're not going to work.
And that's part of the, I guess, personal conflict I have with it is that, probably to Jubei's point, it is a little bit of a show-off feature because, as you guys all know, not all of the apps work. I mean, you can get a lot of apps working, but there are some apps that you have to fiddle around with in order to get them working properly, and there's still, of course, the Google services pop-ups that happen every now and then in certain apps, and it's one of those things that I can't recommend to like an everyday user. I can't say, yeah, you can get all of these apps and you can use them and they'll work perfectly fine, because it's simply not true, right? You know that there's going to be instances where they're like, oh crap, this doesn't work, and that's part of the problem that I have with the whole scenario, I guess you could say. And I don't see a resolution for that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that is, it doesn't seem as though that BlackBerry is ever going to go ahead and fix that, because they have their agreement with Amazon, and of course we all know that they can't force the Google Play Store on there. They don't meet the requirements, right, for the testing. So it's just one of those things. It's still kind of a showy feature to me.
It's weird because I was gonna say, like, I mean, not a standard consumer is gonna download and install it, because it's still Snap still requires you to sideload, which not a lot of users know. But I mean, 11,000 people who installed it in the first 24 hours. I mean, I don't know if that's a lot. I don't know if you guys think that's a lot, but I mean, I'm pretty amazed that 11,000 people, BlackBerry users, installed that app alone to access the store, right? I mean, you would think it's a small number of like people who are technical and know about it, but 11,000 is a lot. So
yeah, I was impressed by that number. Like, that number was pretty shocking. I mean, to see that many people had actually downloaded it. And
For a beta test, at that,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Definitely got some good volumes. I'm interested. He always posts numbers in terms of downloads. I believe about a couple of months ago he posted like the top downloads from Snap, so we can kind of see some trends. I think there was like over like 3 million downloads from the application last year.
Yeah, and
from BlackBerry users. Mm-hmm.
And just to clarify a little bit further, is because 11,000 was only during the first 24 hours. He's now at over 35,000, well over 35,000 now. So when you put that into perspective, 35,000 users downloading your app. There's apps on BlackBerry World that haven't had 35,000 downloads.
Yeah,
I can name a few. I'm not. Yeah. We won't do that. Web design cheat sheet.
Somebody
nowhere close, dude.
Somebody somewhere is weeping at the fact that an app that you can't even get on BlackBerry World is like downloaded over 30.
Right, like there's no native way to download it unless you're using a proxy and some very high level side steps. It's funny. Could we get Snap in beta zone? I feel like that's the place it needs to be.
I was just thinking that, but realistically, I think anything that goes in beta zone has to be able to be accepted also in BlackBerry World, because beta zone, I think it's connected to BlackBerry World in some way. I still haven't been able to use it because they still haven't even accepted me in beta test for some reason. But anyway, I was just thinking about that, and if they can't let it in actually BlackBerry world, then I don't think they would let it in beta zone, unfortunately. Though I think they should, but it might be against terms of service. Like, is the
Well,
API that he's using, is it a public API? I think he might be trying, like, I don't think the Google Play Store API is public.
yeah, it's definitely not something that Google is. Here, I'm of two minds of that because Google doesn't really care at this point in
Yeah.
time because they're getting users out of it realistically. However, from a legal standpoint, if somebody directly brought it to their attention and said, "Hey, this needs to be looked at," they'd obviously have to do it, from a legal perspective. But right now, I don't think that they actually care. However, if it became legitimized in some sort of way, such as being placed in BlackBerry World or, even in beta zone, that's when they'd be like, no, you can't do that.
There's a lot of things that you can't do that are done anyway.
Yeah.
Instagram, Insta10, Insta4gram. I don't even know what name it is now. I'm lost on it, to be quite honest.
I gave him a great name.
What was it?
640 pixels. Do you know the reason?
No, why is that?
Instagram pictures are 640 by 640. 640 pixels, man. That's the name of your app.
Would have been simple. Very simple.
And it doesn't violate any Instagram terms because, it doesn't use Insta, it doesn't use Berry, it doesn't use BP, it doesn't use any of that stuff.
They use Gram.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, memory.
What's next?
Battle of Waterloo, BlackBerry Roots. Did any of you guys read the article? It was from Kevin Roos. It's a very interesting, kind of talking about the rebirth of BlackBerry, the life, death, and rebirth, so to speak. And I want to put death in quotes because, it didn't die. If anything, it just downsized. But very interesting article. It's a long kind of expletive editorial. Talks about some of the history. Crackberry is even mentioned as a phenomenon, which I thought was pretty cool. Clay's gonna wipe the dust off his shoulder. But it does a good job of prefacing the whole kind of situation, and it really talks about Waterloo as a whole and how they've kind of rebounded despite maybe the failures in some of BlackBerry's management to really make it the tech jewel and icon that it was. They still have 7,000 employees worldwide and a market valuation of near $6 billion. And they turned a small profit last quarter. So it's a very interesting article. You can check that out. I believe it's on fusion.net. It's called Life, Death, and Rebirth of BlackBerry's Hometown. Any of you guys happen to read any parts of it? And what kind of insight did you gain from it?
I read parts of it. It was really long.
Yeah.
It was longer than I thought.
Yep.
It was had a melodramatic tone to it. I think it's a if you have time, it's a nice read for. And while I was reading it, one of the things that I was curious about was like the target audience for it. Like, is this for people who live in Waterloo? Was this people who like BlackBerry devices? It was kind of
Comments from people who lived in Waterloo were actually kind of negative towards it because they're
Yeah.
like, BlackBerry was not the only good thing in Waterloo. So, like, I don't think it's really geared toward them, actually.
that was just one of the things that I was kind of while I was reading. I was like, man, I wonder who's going to actually read this. Who's the target audience? I mean, because it's not about tech. It's not about. Is it about Waterloo? It's about Canadians.
It's like a story, man.
Obviously, it's about the story of BlackBerry, but he ties it into the Waterloo element.
Well,
I think
his whole
it was
preface-
more Waterloo.
Right. His whole preface is BlackBerry to Waterloo as GM was to Detroit. Does having your big tech giant kind of dissipate in the region, does that affect everything else around it?
But even so, if that was the case, I didn't really read much about the culture and the status of Waterloo before BlackBerry arrived, during their successful run, and now. It didn't talk about like the people. It didn't talk about other businesses or anything. There weren't any interviews.
They talked about, for instance, they said, when BlackBerry was thriving, they said a few bars and a few restaurants, like they would get so much business and people, they'd be regulars BlackBerry employees and everything. and they would spend so much money in these local businesses, and then all of a sudden it just stopped, and the money was not flowing anymore because of, BlackBerry's kind of
Yeah.
downfall there.
Businesses would actually set up sales that would coordinate with like
Yeah.
paychecks and corporate
Yep.
corporate paychecks and raises and bonuses and
Okay, I just didn't feel like I got to know Waterloo more.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like, oh
I can
wow,
see
this
that.
is such a great place of history and culture, whatever the case. It was just a little.
honestly
Go ahead.
the thing that I found most interesting about it was the comments that people actually laid out.
Yeah.
Like Alex said, some people from Waterloo were actually upset about it.
Yeah.
Like they, there was more here before BlackBerry, and that's perfectly fine. But what I found interesting was like people who actually took like a negative tone towards BlackBerry from the article, and to me there was some of that in there. But it was interesting that it was kind of balanced out because there were people that actually appreciated the article in the way that it was written and the way that everything was laid out. And then there were some people that were totally upset about the way that BlackBerry was presented in the article. And I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
What happened? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
You can't sugarcoat it,
that's,
right?
and that, like Jabez said, that what happened happened. I mean, it's no secret. Nobody's trying to hide the fact BlackBerry was massive, and now they're not massive. They're somewhere in between. They're not the company that they were, and that's the way that the article laid it out. And I don't know, it was just interesting to me to see those comments, and that board, the pictures that were used in there really added a lot to it. Yeah, it added a lot to it. And when I was in Waterloo, I actually saw that board. Like, I was there and I saw that board in that room, and it was just really interesting to see how other people actually reacted to the article, more so than what the article itself.
Exactly. To be honest though, so I pulled it up on BerryFlow, and then I read a little bit. I was like, it pulled me in a little bit, so I actually clicked the article. I had no idea how long it was. I was on my phone laying in bed. So I just kept reading. I didn't realize at all how long it was, and I ended up reading it all.
Yeah.
And the thing is, looking at the comments, I was so surprised to see negative aspects, like just all this stuff to it. And I'm thinking most people probably did not read it all. Like I read it, cover to cover, whatever you want to say, top to bottom, and it may have taken me a solid 30 minutes to read it all. Like it was a long read, and I just don't think all the comments people read everything.
Well, nobody ever.
Do they ever? Right. They read the headline, life, death, BlackBerry. Oh, I don't like this article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn something that I didn't know already. I think that's what it was, because this story is really old. It's been rehashed countless times on numerous websites. So coming back to another story of like the rise and fall of RIM was just like, all right, whatever. So I was intrigued by the Waterloo element. I just, I guess at the end, didn't really feel like it was a celebration of Waterloo. And I was like, oh, I mean, okay. I didn't entirely agree with some of his assessments there. I know that some people in the comments corrected him in some of his points, but it's still, if you got the time, go ahead and read it.
Yeah, it's still a good read. I mean, I didn't have any real issues with it or anything like that. From my perspective, it laid everything out nicely, and it all came together well, especially with the pictures and how he viewed things, and like James said, how he prefaced it. Is BlackBerry to Waterloo what GM is to Detroit, sort of thing. It was a really good article in my opinion.
I was gonna say, I mean, there's probably a lot of emotion in it. I mean, I know a lot of, no, I shouldn't say I know a lot of, but I know a few BlackBerry employees personally, and I mean, I think it goes back to how before the Z10 launch, BlackBerry wanted to use the whole Waterloo and have banners up, and that made a big issue, and some people were against it, some people were for it, right? And it goes to how the company ties in with the community, and when those cuts happen, a lot of people took that personally, right? I mean, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people had to move. A lot of cultural things did change, right? People had to quit jobs or move and all that. And some people don't like to associate BlackBerry so close with Waterloo because of their failure, right? They don't want to be tied into it because of that, right? If you look at it that way. So,
Yeah.
but overall, I mean, I think it was. I didn't read the whole article, but I was just looking at the comments, and I could see where people are coming from making those comments, right? So
Coming from a place of not having read it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about the Communitech Hub, and they talk about the startup culture that still is there in Kitchener. I think that you really do, as Alex said, you have to read the whole thing. You got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Yes, it's dramatized to give off this whole.
It should have came with a soundtrack, that's for sure.
Right.
Some light elevator music playing in the background.
Let me leave that comment now. I'm not Canadian, however, this needs a voiceover. So we'll move on from the Battle of Waterloo. That really wasn't a battle, right? But we'll go over to BlackBerry naming their new chief security officer. Very interesting appointment. Comes at a very interesting time as well, as BlackBerry is kind of looking to. I think they're really looking right now to enhance and gear themselves toward their Internet of Things platform. It's a very interesting appointment to bring on a chief security officer, someone that they can instill to really oversee the entire security infrastructure, because it's not just devices now. It's not just embedded devices. Now it's a platform. It's not just the networking operating centers. It's making sure all of that consistently is now going to work together with a cohesive platform that is able to deliver and scale. So what did you guys think of the appointment? The guy has a pretty nice pedigree in the field.
It was a great pickup. It's really cool for BlackBerry. The guy has incredible experience. He brings such key components to BlackBerry, and it legitimizes over again already what BlackBerry offers. And it's a great boost for shareholders and people in the market to see that BlackBerry actually has to hire someone like this because they need it. It's demanded. So it's a healthy sign that this hire is a great sign that BlackBerry is doing very well in their enterprise, and they're looking to just really, again, layer on top of making sure all the critical components are remain imperative to moving forward to their services, and they're gonna. I don't know. This is great. I read his resume. I was really excited. I was like, and I saw him in an interview, and it was just good stuff. I'm really excited about this particular hire because this is one of those guys that you're not going to see, but he's like the man behind the man behind the man. And you look at all the new acquisitions, and Mavirtue and Seki Smart and stuff like that. So you bring this guy in, and he's going to be able to leverage all of these things cohesively, intelligently for enterprise. And what was it? One of his former.
We can talk about Green Hill
position.
Software, absolutely. So the man's name is David Kleidermacher. Hopefully I pronounced that right. He's being quoted as responsible for the global product security organization, leading efforts to ensure BlackBerry's continued leadership in secure enterprise mobility. He brings more than 20 years of strategy and product engineering experience to the role, including expertise in securing connected devices and the Internet of Things. And of course, we know BlackBerry's long-standing heritage in that very same arena. David comes to BlackBerry from Green Hill Software, where he was Chief Technology Officer, which is CTO. During his time at Green Hills, he led the team that developed the company's market-leading Integrity, high reliability real-time operating system. Integrity was certified by the NSA, high robustness, yada yada, highest security ever level achieved for an operating system, and also validated and certified by the FAA. So definitely bringing a lot of acumen with him to the role from Green Hill. He seems to be that kind of guy who is going to be able to take BlackBerry's assets and really start to marginalize them and bring them to the forefront. I find this all so interesting in terms of a conversation we had on last Upstream where we talked about some of the employees that Apple has taken on, right? Now we're hearing that Apple is building a self-driving autonomous car and that they're building a car platform for those vehicles. And it's just amusing because at the end of the day, they're going to have to find a point where they upgrade their whole platform, right? Apple is going to have to do that. And I think in the same coin that BlackBerry a couple of years ago launching BB10 was their acknowledgement of we need a platform for the future. Just as everyone, Samsung, Google even, as well as Apple, are all looking now toward that future of interconnected devices and being able to do that on a bigger scale. So yeah, I'm excited as Juve is in terms of that. Definitely, the guy brings a lot to the table.
What was this one client, the NSA? I mean, come on. I mean, that's like great news. And you know, you mentioned something really interesting, and something jumped into my head when you were speaking, James, was all these companies now are trying to establish a platform for the future. And if you look at it in that aspect, mobility-wise, BlackBerry was like first out of the gate, right? You know, BB10 represents the future of mobility for the next decade plus.
That's in my article. In one of my articles, I closed it saying, you know, BlackBerry isn't late; they're early. You just don't know it yet. Give it some time. Give it some time. We'll be there.
It's really huge. A lot of people that they have short vision, very narrow vision when they're looking at BlackBerry's direction, and you look at the just the segregation within different companies and the way they implement their strategies. And BlackBerry now has a unified vision. Chen came in and just really eliminated all the unnecessaries and created a platform that is used throughout the entire company. I mean, the whole company, everything's, the synergy within the company is just phenomenal at this point, and they're just refining it to a point now. And what works on one side works for everything. So good stuff to look forward to.
Definitely excited. He put up a blog post on Inside BlackBerry on the day of his appointment, and I want to read a quote from it because, one, it's very compelling what he says, and what he says as well here is almost like a bring it. And I just love the tone that he has throughout it. He says, society should not trust the word of enterprises claiming great security. Let this be a call to arms, an international anthem, if you will, for industry, academia, and governments to join together with BlackBerry to foster cybersecurity standards that deliver meaningful assurance. We desperately need it. The general population lacks confidence in the ability of enterprises to protect critical data and functions because no effective international standard for ensuring confidence in this protection exists. Raising assurance is the only way to get ahead of attackers rather than remaining behind them, preventing breaches instead of picking up the pieces afterwards. And we've seen so much of that happen in like the last year, even the last couple of years, that I think it's a great underscore to his appointment and what he's able to bring to the table.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I saw the interview. I read some of his stuff. Just it's exciting to have someone like this on board for sure.
Definitely a much-needed role for fill-in, so I'm glad he's here. We'll move over to maybe what Mr. Kleidermacher may be having to touch and dabble with. QNX Auto headed to Embedded World. I hadn't heard much about this. Blaze, were you able to speak on... they're headed to Embedded World. I guess it's a big embedded symposium with different vendors in the embedded space. What is QNX going to be there for?
Well, Embedded World, they hold it each and every year for embedded technology, as the name simply implies. But QNX will be there. They have the usual demonstrations through automotive, medical, all that is happening. But they also have, apparently, they'll be in a demo with Texas Instruments. They'll be basically announcing a new product at that point in time for what appears to be the automotive sector. They were actually kind of hush-hush in regards to what they were actually going to be showing off, but they do have a new product to announce, and it will be done in cooperation with Texas Instruments, who is basically they have a new processor that they're using for automotive. I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, but it's Jacinto, the Jacinto 6 automotive processor.
The Jacinto, yes.
Yeah. So they have the QNX SDK for apps and media, so all that stuff that we've seen will essentially be shown off in the automotive department. So those big dashboards, the glorious looking dashboards that everybody loves. But yeah, medical reference platform will also be on display, so they have all the security elements for critical healthcare applications that they'll be demoing, and they seem really hyped about it because they QNX themselves actually retweeted my own article like twice now, so they're pretty excited about it.
It's good when they're excited because that means we have a lot to be excited about. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Additionally, here's the thing that I don't know if we'll actually be able to, because I'm not too sure how much information Embedded World is actually going to put out, like if they're going to have a live stream or videos documenting any of it. But they have, in addition to the demos that are being displayed, they have 2 sessions for the Internet of Things and managing your management focus. So, keeping people on track and making sure that everything is going right in your management arena. So hopefully they'll actually post some of that stuff so that we can actually bring it to everybody else and let everybody else see it. I always kind of hate when these events go on and we don't actually see anything from those events until 3 or 4 months later. So hopefully they'll have some live streams and some video footage for us to actually tap into and check out.
We need to get you on a plane. I mean, that's a
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Nuremberg, Germany for a while. In a bit of a
You're
a
afraid of
silly
leaving your house right now and you want to go to Germany.
Yeah, well, is Germany gonna be warmer? Yeah, I'm all for it.
That is the question.
Yeah, in a little bit of a side note though, and a silly note, but it has to be mentioned, they're also gonna have like robot vacuum cleaners on display that are powered by QNX operating system. Real-time motor control to move smoothly and easily through your house, avoiding stairs and walls.
It's laughable. You're so right. But I actually did an interview with one of their managing directors over there, and they're like, it's a funny concept, an autonomous vacuum that literally runs itself. But a lot of the same complications that device ran into on its previous OS are the same kind of things that car manufacturers have to tackle.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
obstacles in your house are just the same as like obstacles on the road,
Right. Just like you have a dog crossing in front of the vacuum, you could have a car on the road. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of parallels to be drawn there. It is laughable, but a lot of the same kind of logic, so to speak, is being used.
I'll tell you what's laughable: the level of laziness now that's sparked ingenuity and technology.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a QNX powered robot vacuum. I'd stick a big QNX logo right on the top of it, big sticker on the top.
Yeah, you can remote control it from your passport while you lay in the couch watching it.
That would be totally awesome. I'd paint like wheels on the side of it, like it was a little car.
It's like the snake game, and you have to like draw on the passport screen to where the vacuum's gonna go.
Interactive vacuum.
You get your kids to play with it, and they think they're having fun, but really they're cleaning the living room.
If anyone from QNX is listening, I will gladly take a vacuum. I will review the hell out of it.
That sounds more up Adam's alley, actually.
Yeah.
Get that unconnectedly.
No, don't. No, I want the vacuum.
Adam's probably like full up on his connected devices.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we'll move on from vacuums. Let's talk about WorkWide. Awesome application developed by Brian and Olaf. Really, really awesome application. It was originally specifically designed for Passport to make use of the screen, basically giving you the ability to split the Passport screen and utilize multiple app widgets within the one app. It was really, really cool. They've recently done an upgrade, bringing some more features and actually bringing that application to all touch devices. So now you can hold your Z30 or Z10 horizontally and get 2 squares for which you can actually multitask between. Very cool. You can have browsers side by side. You can have a composer tab to send off emails and other stuff. If anyone's used WorkWide, I highly suggest grabbing the update. It's pretty awesome. Again, for a paid application, you can't beat it. It brings in a lot of the kind of split browser that you're looking for, and also a lot of other utility as well. The stuff that's been built in.
It's like one of the most used apps on my phone, really.
Wow.
Because it's one of those things where like again, it's one of those things that I didn't know that I needed it until somebody actually created it and put it out there for me. Because one of the problems that I found within the BlackBerry 10 operating system is like, you know, when you go to watch like a YouTube video or whatever, it sort of traps you in the video player. You can't like get out of the video player unless you watch the video minimized, right? Worldwide allows you to watch the video and still do other things on your device while you're watching the video. And to me, that's actually like one of the most compelling reasons to download it. I mean, just for my own personal use. I also had to kind of like laugh at the comments because some people were saying, well, why would you bring it to other devices? I mean, obviously those devices aren't as wide as what the Passport is. Well, yeah, they are if you put them on their side.
Yeah,
they're as wide or they're wider than what the Passport is, so you actually get a lot of use out of it just by turning your device sideways. So.
And think as well, I mean, we have the HDMI out, we have Miracast on some devices.
Yeah.
And this is great for presentations where you can literally have, you know, some presentation media and then maybe a video playing or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of usability cases for it. I think
It's a great demonstration of the true multitasking ability of the RTOS.
I'd like to see people give examples of how they use it. I mean, I know people are downloading it. I know that for sure, because Brian tells me, he gives me a few updates here and there about how many downloads he had and stuff like that. But I'd like to see how other people are using it because, you know, tell me how you're using it in the comments or whatever. Let us know how you're actually using it. Like, what's your use case for it? Because I want to know what people do with it.
I'm more
sure
interested
Brian
to
does
see
too.
If there's a possibility that BlackBerry may look at this app and get some ideas for future OS.
It's funny you mentioned that. Cluey actually posted, BlackBerry's posting of Worldwide, and he's like, you know, we thought about this, but we're like, not really. It's basically what he said. He's like, you know, didn't really cross our minds in terms of usability, like it might break the flow of the whole OS.
Yeah.
But, I mean, people are buying it. The customers win at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
they're who you're building for, not for your own.
Right.
Yeah,
money talks in this case.
It's to Brian's benefit that BlackBerry didn't actually put it in there, so you know, I'm pretty sure you're not going to hear him complain about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good application. If you are a worldwide user already, download the latest update.
You said that the update, it supports all the other devices, BB10 devices.
Correct.
Yep.
I don't really see it being downloaded for like the classic or the Q10, but.
And that's the thing. I mean, if you've ever used the app, it's actually very, very smart built. So it splits the screen, right? So you've got a little toggle in the center, and then on either side you have the split screen. However, you can take that toggle and slide it left or right and actually maximize. So you can have a full screen square on the classic, right? And then just slide it over and get the other bit of material that you're looking for. Again, very well built, and it actually works better on the classic than I think it does on some of the other devices, like a Q5 or things of that nature, because it's such a bigger screen. So definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. It's very good.
The other interesting side of that is that I spoke to Brian about it, and I asked him, you know, like, how did you end up getting it on like all the other devices and stuff like that? He basically had to re-envision the whole application and rebuild it from the ground up to bring it to other devices. So yeah, it may look the same as what it did previously, but technically under the hood, it's pretty much a brand new app because he literally had to rebuild it from the ground up in order to ensure that it didn't break anything across other devices, right?
Impressive.
I thought that was really interesting because, you know, not only did he build a great app to begin with, he rebuilt it a second time to bring it to everybody else.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I mean, what James said about the moving it from one to switch super easy between them. I mean, going back to what Alex said, that if like I didn't know that until now. You can't tell that from a picture, but if I had seen a video of that would be easy. So I would put on a classic if I had one, right? Or a Q5. Oops.
No, it's very easy to do one-handed, and They've actually Brian's asked me to do an updated video.
Yeah,
And I should. We really should, Blaze. We're slacking. God, we're awful.
I know.
We're just so busy waiting for Embedded World. I mean, but no, work wide. Check it out. You can work wide without spending $600 on a passport. Just be aware. Let's talk BBM for BlackBerry 10. We got a beta update in beta zone.
Yeah.
A couple of us grabbed it. Very exciting update. It's kind of a throwback to some updates that we had but lost. I find this very, very interesting. So the two additions, you're able to get the R and D, the read and delivered message, in file transfers within BBM contacts. And as well, you now have the ability to share photos in line in a group. So it was done on the previous beta build. If I remember correctly, you would be in a group thread. You would hit the overflow button, and there was an option there to add photo. And that photo would be shared in line in the group conversation and as well in the group photo album. It's funny, for users who are on the new beta now and are sharing images in their groups to non-beta users, those non-beta users can still see the inline photo and react with it. So it's not something that's limited. I know stickers were that way for some users, where it would say sticker, not available, or update to the latest BBM.
Yeah, what that means is that all they did was remove the option in the overflow to do it. That means they never actually took that functionality out of BBM. It's been in BBM for a while, and we were joking around about it that they may have just been like, oh, dude, you never put that in. Like that should have been in like 10 builds ago. I thought you put that in. Like just all they had to do was go in there and add an option somewhere to add a picture, and to appeal to the one thing that James doesn't like about it, from what we've heard, is if you end up having a picture posted and then you start discussing the picture within, like in line within, it's like kind of breaking the flow of what it should be. So keep in mind, people, when you post a picture, click the picture and then do the comments within the picture comments. Don't do it within the actual, like,
the chat. Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't be Chad. No, just
Yeah.
Chad's watching this right now.
Chad.
Like these guys. But no, it's a very cool re-edition. As Alex said, it was kind of like hidden and then brought back. What I like is now it's not hidden on the overflow. Now in group threads, you actually have the standard BBM little paperclip to attach, and then there's the photo icon. Bam, you click the photo.
And that's
As
all
Alex
that's in
said.
there. Yeah,
Right.
just the little picture button. That's all. And there's the camera in the middle too.
So really, really cool that they're able to bring that in for us, and I'm hoping some more stuff starts showing up in there in later builds. Maybe voice notes, file transfers to groups directly in line. I'd like to see maybe the whole photo album section evolve into something more, maybe shared drives or things of that nature.
That kind of stuff scares me because I don't know what kind of pictures I got on my phone, and I'll be the one that accidentally sends something to a group that shouldn't be sent to a group.
Pictures of his Rio device. Whoops. It's just funny because we had discussed a couple upstreams ago that BBM on iOS was getting like the landscape support, and then we got that in a later build, and we had that feature before as well. Then they took it out. So
that's what I was just thinking. I was like, does that make up for the landscape in iOS?
They're definitely working on it. At least they're still paying attention to us, right? A lot of us channel users feel very neglected at this point. I know you, Blaze, are feeling pretty neglected in terms of channels.
I hate channels, man. I hate it and I love it at the same time. Like I love the fact that we can go ahead and post the channels and stuff like that and share all that stuff, but the amount of spam and the bugs that are still remaining in channels are absolutely annoying and dreadful. It's like the bane of my existence. Like I don't know. It's like, have you ever tried to ban someone from your channel or block them, but you can't block them because they have like foreign characters in their name and it doesn't work? It's like, why doesn't that work? All I have to do is go ahead and put some like random characters in the name, and then blocking them doesn't work. And
It's because channels is being neglected. These are like little things that if they really stayed up to date on it, they would fix these things.
Yeah.
But, hopefully we're waiting out for a humongous channels update. Like, I think we're all hoping that, but realistically, I don't know.
Does Hangouts have a
No
crickets
idea.
noise? Because that's what we need right now.
Yeah.
Crickets. There's a lot of potential in it. I think if they really get BBM money to a place where it's integrated into the OS, channels is just like you gotta tack it on. Like, let me
When
buy
is
stuff, you know?
Mobile World Congress again?
End of the month.
Middle of March.
Is it middle
Middle
of
of
March?
March, right?
The
Somewhere
beginning.
around there. Yeah, beginning of March.
That's the
Yeah.
only.
Coming up.
That's our only hope right there. That they may announce something.
We're gonna get R2D2 and then a projection of Dubay. Mobile World Congress, you're our only hope.
BlackBerry, though.
Channels is on life
Yeah.
support. If that.
Well, I don't know.
It's such a great
If
platform.
anybody wants a bug list, just ask me. Like, Michael Cooley's listening. Anybody from the BBM channels team, just let me know. I got all the information. I can.
The problem is, Chris, I don't think there is a BBM channel right now. I think it's just like BBM.
I got a list of top 20 things channels desperately needs.
Just like they forgot the inline photos. I think they forgot. They're like, oh crap, we fired everyone who was working on these channels. Whoops. Now we got them working on Android Wear.
You know, on the photo, one last thing with it. If BlackBerry, if you're listening at all, if you add within the overflow menu now, just an option to do like view group pictures, then I'll never have to open up BBM again, and I'll be happy. Because the only thing I dislike right now is I could access like everything from the hub, the stuff that I interact with a lot, all the groups, but I have to wait for someone to post a photo in order for that to show up in the hub. If I could just view the photos like directly from within the group, within the hub, I don't have to open up BBM anymore. I'd be so happy.
You're never getting that, man. They want you to open BBM.
I know.
Come on,
But-
they want you in that BBM shop. Need them like 12 billion views.
Post those ad impressions. It's getting bad. Like now, like every 3 things in my feed is an ad, and it's a big one for a sticker pack
What?
I've already bought. Like, come on.
Here's the thing, though. They're actually a little bit more relevant now. Like they started advertising like the Valentine's Day sale, for example. They advertised that in there. They advertised that the well, I don't know how relevant this is given the scenario, but they started advertising the Passport and the Classic coming to AT&T. So they have, they've been doing better in terms of the ads. I'm no longer getting ads for Android apps that take me to the Google Play Store, so that's good. I mean, that's a plus, right?
Or apps
on this
ads
ad.
that take you to like another country.
Yeah, I mean, they're becoming more relevant, so I guess that's good. And they also put apps in there now too. So
Yep, right here. I just found one.
Yeah.
Instagram Pro or
Yeah,
iCarn Pro.
yeah, and that's good. I mean, that's a perfect example because there may be a lot of people that are on BBM who still don't necessarily know that iGrand exists, right?
Yeah.
And they don't know that they can access Instagram. And if they're scrolling through that, they're like, oh, what's this? Instagram? Well, let me go ahead and check that out. They'll tap on that and they'll try it, right? So, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. They're relevant now.
Let me segue our conversation here just a bit and talk about how much better iGran is than the actual Instagram.
Yeah.
I love that it seems like a lot of the native apps, Wine, all the social ones that are built in Cascades are better than the actual official versions. And it amuses me, like you can actually pinch to zoom on photos in Instagram. And for me, a young gentleman, that is a thing of necessity. When going down a solid Instagram feed, you can long press the photo, you can repost. I mean, you can't even do that on the actual Instagram app,
Yeah.
You have to go download a third-party app just to repost Instagram posts. It's just a mess, and I love that the native developers that we have taken the time, utilized the Cascades framework, and really built some awesome apps. So kudos to iGran and Adrian for that, because it is an awesome application.
Yeah, that's a good aspect and something that could really be highlighted. I don't think they get enough credit for it because Instagram, the app itself, is the app to have, but realistically, iGrand is better because of all the different features that it offers that Instagram doesn't. Instagram itself is like pretty basic when you compare it to the BlackBerry 10 apps.
Mm-hmm. Right, and in the Android version, it doesn't give you any notifications at all. Like, it doesn't tell you if there's any status. At least the iGran runs headlessly. You get the hub. You can have those notifications on the lock screen. And just a much more integrated experience. So I definitely appreciate its existence.
And you can rerun photos too.
Right, exactly. Really cool stuff indeed. So you had mentioned it a little bit earlier, Blaze, talking about the Valentine's Day deal and discount. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, all of us have our passports already, basically, except for Alex.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
One of us. So basically, they had the Valentine's Day sale, which I do believe actually ends like right tonight, somewhere around there, on the 16th. It's either 15th or 16th.
I think it runs through tomorrow, so it'll end tomorrow. Yeah. I believe.
Yeah. So essentially, all the passports are on sale. $100 off if you're in the U.S. and $125, I do believe, if you're Canadian, for the currency exchange difference. So it's a good opportunity to get yourself a BlackBerry passport if you don't already have one, and that sale includes the red one. So if you've been eyeing that, definitely make sure that you take advantage of it. Does anybody know if you can actually like combine them, because the discounts?
You can. That's how I got my red one. Mm-hmm. So yes, if you know any BlackBerry elites, reach out to them. They have some special coupon codes. They are region locked, so you need to find a BlackBerry elite in your region. But Miss Kimberly Cooley was able to hook me up with a promo code, and I was able to use that on a previous discount. They had $100 off a while back for, I think, a different holiday, and I was able to pick up mine that way. So yes, you can stack the two. Now, what I wish I checked was, can you stack multiple BB Elite coupons with the discount? I'm gonna get a free passport at this point, right?
And just for the record, it's not exactly hard to find any of the BB Elite people, because if you look on Twitter, they'll let you. Most of them have updated their like Twitter feed to let you know that, hey, we have discount codes available. So it's a good thing to take advantage of if you're wanting to pick up a passport.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking 125, so we're talking like 250 off Canadian.
Yeah.
You have both of those bundled, and then 200 off on the USDS. So definitely check it out. Passport is an awesome device, and at a price that's below 400, I mean, it sells itself. I mean, you just gotta go get one, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wanted to share a story actually quickly. I was at work yesterday, or it was the day before, and this guy comes in. He's like, so my carrier, I'm having issues. He brings like a USB, one of those wireless USB adapters. He's like, I need this to work with my BlackBerry. Now it's BlackBerry with his computer. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I can't. They said that my Skype, it'll fix my Skype. And I was like, oh, let's take a look. And he brings out this leather thing, and I'm thinking it's his wallet. And he opens it up, and it's a BlackBerry passport. This guy has a beard, and he's gray-haired, and he's at least 70, 75 years old. I'm like, that's crazy. A guy 75 years old using a passport. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, some people, like, you would think an older guy wouldn't use a passport, but it doesn't matter what age. People can really use a passport. Like, it's not that hard. Not that hard at all.
Yeah. It always makes me laugh about like people complaining about the the learning curve on BlackBerry 10, and it's like so easy a 75-year-old can do it, you know?
I would have taken a selfie, Blaze, but it's not professional.
Not professional.
Should have made him take it, and it wouldn't have been so unprofessional.
Smart thinking. I should have done that.
Have you tested the camera out on that phone? It's really awesome, right?
Shoot. Segue right in there.
Exactly. So we have a couple questions from the BDM channel before we close out here. They're mostly complaints, as they always are, right? Let's see if we can address just a few of them for our users here. So some have asked, Chen has been missing from the public for a long time. Is everything okay? I think it's a great thing. If Chen's in the public, that means that he's out there, he's promoting. I think right now they're at a point where they're really just working. They're getting stuff done. They're getting ready to hit some of the roadmaps and deadlines that they're setting up right
Yeah.
now. So us not seeing Chen, I wouldn't take that as a negative. I think they're, nose to the ground getting it done right now. Obviously, I mean, look at their new appointment of their CSO. They're definitely working. What do you guys think?
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Getting ready for Mobile World Congress and plus whatever he's doing in terms of hiring people and stuff like that. That clearly would have taken some time out of his schedule to go ahead and get the new hire happening. So it's all right if she's not around.
And he's always around,
Yeah.
He's reading and he's keeping tabs on everything anyway. So, you guys worried about the Bez 12? We had some solid numbers, and then we kind of just stopped hearing about this kind of influx of numbers. Do you think that maybe Mobile World Congress or somewhere down the line we're going to get another, like, hey, here's where we're at in terms of our enterprise subscriber base?
Oh yeah, I think you'll definitely get something like that at Mobile World Congress because the two things that I think you'll see at Mobile World Congress is essentially they're gonna show off some more of their enterprise stuff that they have happening because we know full well that everything that they announced already hasn't necessarily rolled out as of yet. Some of the stuff that they announced in the portfolio wasn't necessarily coming out until 2015, and we're into 2015 now. So Mobile World Congress is going to be the place to go ahead and announce that. So you'll definitely get some enterprise stuff on tap for sure. The other thing is you're probably, as we know, and isn't really a secret, you're going to get a look at least some of the device portfolio, if not all of the device portfolio for the 2015 year at least. So they've got to go ahead and share some of those numbers. Now, whether or not those numbers are exactly the numbers that people want, because here's the thing, the enterprise sales and stuff like that, they've willingly gone ahead and shared those numbers in the past. They haven't essentially tried to keep any of those secret or anything like that. But the numbers that people really want and have not been able to fully capture as of yet is device sales numbers. So if you're looking for device sales numbers, I still think you're going to be disappointed because I don't think they're going to go ahead and directly hand out passport numbers or classic numbers or anything like that. But you'll probably get enterprise numbers for sure because the program is coming to a close or has closed already at this point. So they got to give up some of that information.
So Mobile World Congress, device roadmap, maybe a BDM roadmap, as well as talking about the security and enterprise aspects.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And it's really not that far away. We're already in the middle of February, right?
Yeah. March is quarter's end, right? Or the earnings call as well. End of March, right? So probably get those rest of those numbers at that time, probably.
Yeah, be a good time for it.
Definitely gearing up. It's going to be an exciting year. I'm interested to see kind of, what the perception is at the end of this year. We've had the passport, we've had a lot of the enterprise with those 12, a lot of stuff rolling out. I wonder where the perception is going to sit, a year out from now. I'm definitely looking forward to maybe a little bit more acceptance of what BlackBerry is now. I think a lot of people are still hung up on the idea that this is a device maker that's struggling to make devices, and really that whole conversation is changing every day as they move toward more software and services. So I'm definitely interested. I mean, Chen a couple months back said, we've got a killer bit of software that's going to kind of change the game for us in terms of a software solution. So who knows exactly what they're cooking up over there in Waterloo and/or California. So definitely some stuff looking forward.
I think that's another thing. Like, it goes back to Chen being quiet, is because there's a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily know because, let's be realistic, Chen sort of put a cork in all the leaks. He plugged them all. There's not as many leaks as what there used to be in the BlackBerry world, and it's That's why. That's another reason as to why it's quiet is because people are seeing less leaks. I mean, before we probably had more devices coming out. You know, like 2012, we had like a whole roadmap for 2012, and you know they weren't even voluntarily putting that information out there. But Chen came in and cleaned house, and you know he did what he said he would do. He was going to stop the majority of the leaks, and it almost seems like he's the one who is, I don't want to say fully in, yeah, he's obviously not fully in control of all the leaks, but realistically, when you look back at the timeline and stuff like the past year, the big device announcements and stuff like that were leaked by him early. Like, he's the one who put the passport out there. Like, yeah, we knew it was coming. We seen some rough pictures of it and such, and you know, we got that hands-on preview early, but it was him who actually said, like, hey, look, this is the passport, even before an official announcement, and this is the classic. And you know, nobody had really, you know, caught a real good glimpse at the classic at that point in time. Like, he was the first one to put it out there, so he's controlling the headlines.
He is. And it's good because now we have a CEO who literally has BlackBerry's fate in his hands. You know,
Yeah.
It's not on the hands of the media to turn and skew and kind of twist whatever message they're going to deliver. It really is in his hands. And it's funny because that was at an investors event, and he was kind of like, "Wake up, guys! You know, bam, here are two devices. Like, we're working. You know, we know this is a dry conversation, but at the same time, there is things to be excited about." So that should be the key takeaway from our session today. There are things to be excited about looking forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was gonna say like people really have to be like I'm really stoked for Mobile World Conference. Like there's a lot to come. I think if it's a roadmap, guys. Like whatever's coming is coming and it's coming in like 2 weeks. So you gotta be really excited.
Ronell knows. Tweet him.
Ronell's got the goods, but he ain't giving it out. What the heck?
All his BlackBerry friends, you know, they're millions already. Well, as always, gentlemen, I appreciate having you on. It's been another great session here on Upstream. You guys take care. We will see you all next Sunday.
Take care, everyone.
Later.
Peace out. Later, guys.